Yes, we do. But the thing is it, as you've known or as you've seen in the last 6 months or 6 months now, it was just so unsustainable. And because of the promises that it was given. I mean, if you look at all these different crazy opportunities that came out that were also scams, a lot of them were scams. Um, Really, I mean, you can't promise a six-figure APY. You can't promise a five-figure APY. You can barely promise a four-figure APY. I mean, three figures, you're like, still. Two figures, you're like, okay, now we're talking about like Anchor Protocol, which was like, we know how that went. And then you come down to less than that, which is like the 10%, 8% region. You're like, okay, well, much more reasonable. But then people are seeing that and they're seeing other opportunities out there, and that's when the greed factor comes in. And people are always like, well, if this can give me 100% or 100,000% APY, why wouldn't I put my money in here? I said, because it's a Ponzi scheme, and whoever put their money in first is going to benefit, and those that are going to put their money in later is exit liquidity. It's all that is essentially. But I get it. Like, some people want to risk it for the biscuit. Like, don't get me wrong, you can make money in Ponzi schemes, so I'm not going to tell you to put your money in it.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it's just like there is good utility, there is good use case of DeFi, and the thing with crypto, again, the whole point of crypto is just decentralization. We don't want to include the banks. Is we want to be able to move our money where we want to move our money at any time and at any point.
And quickly.
Don't ask questions. Exactly. And it's like, I'm actually like, just this morning, I was trying to like withdraw some money from crypto.com into my MetaMask, actually, just like moving some funds there. And there's a SMS 2FA and the regular Google authenticator 2FA as well.
Yeah.
And I tried to use both of those, and they both wouldn't work today.
They want you to scan your face. They want you to put in 3 authentication codes, and then they want you to do a handstand. And then maybe, if you are lucky, we'll give you your money in an hour.
Like, dude, I was looking for $500. Like, that's all I'm looking to like move. It's like I can go to the ATM and pull up $500 there. Like, that's the banks are less of a cause at that point right there. And like that's what needs to be changed there. So I do see, again, DeFi being a big thing, but there's a lot of things that need to be changed to make it as safe, really, honestly. And that's kind of the biggest factor of DeFi is just the safety factors. Where can the funds be housed and not be hacked? Because as we know, there's a lot of that going around.
A lot of hacking.
And then there's also the case of taking loans out on top of capital.
Yeah.
That was a huge, huge space and huge thing that happened in the last basically year that, as we know, in the last basically month has gone a huge domino effect downhill.
Yeah.
Big time. So it's again, there's a lot that needs to be there's a lot that needs to happen in the space, but I still believe in what we're actually going to come of it. So
well, it seems that below, and this is every facet of crypto. If you look at crypto property commodity, I'm talking Bitcoin, and then you look at blockchains, and you look at NFTs, and then you look at DeFi, and you look at all of these different layers these are the different layers of crypto. They all seem to have really, really good use cases and intentions at the bottom line, but there's so much scamming, laundering, scheming, negativity, need for regulation, all just layered on top of it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so far away from anything good coming out of any of it.
It's the truth. But I mean, where did crypto start? Where did most people hear about it?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Silk Road is where most people honestly heard of crypto their first time. And it was Silk Road dealing with black market, dark
We've come
market.
a long way. I mean, Bitcoin was used for selling and buying drugs on the dark web, and it was worth $1, a cent, and now it's worth, people are using it as a hedge against inflation. So I mean, we're at a pretty good spot after a decade or so. Yeah, but I think we've got a couple more decades before we get like that true, maybe a decade. It depends, because now they're saying they have the Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, really, I think we're going to see even earlier than that, honestly, just because of where we are in the macro of the world today, too. So with this quarter two coming to an end here this week on Friday, we're going to see the GDP probably close at another negative
Yeah.
this quarter, and that means 2 quarters in a row, no bueno.
Yeah.
That means recession's coming, which most of us can already kind of assume is on the board. So, but that being said, yeah, that's going to be an impacting factor on USD and cash itself. And it's like, so how is crypto going to be in effect with that? Is that value digitally going to be affected too, with cash value of USD potentially being affected? I'm just looking at the bigger side of it, or the bigger perspective, but we've seen some coins in the crypto market depeg from stable coins.
Yes.
So what's to say that the US dollar won't depeg itself or so?
Yeah. Well, here's the thought process I have, and this mostly comes from being specifically a gold trader on the FX side, is I look at gold and I look at why